All right, general math, we are moving on to 1.4 with radical numbers. So our first section, we are going to learn about greatest common factors. You might see it as GCF, but remember the factor trees from last time, so from 1.3, well, we're going to use those same things for GCF. So we're going to find the greatest common factor for 18 and 24. So let's make a factor tree for 18. 18 is an even number, so it splits up to 9 and 2. And then 2 is a prime number, so I just highlighted it, or you could circle it. I would circle it on paper maybe. And 9 splits up to 3 and 3. Both of these are prime numbers, so we stop here. So on the outside, or like the leaves of your tree, I guess, we have 3, 3, and 2. And they're bolded, so you can kind of see them. And then for 24, 24 is an even number, so it splits up into 2 and 12. 12 splits up into 2 and 6, 6 into 2 and 3. And these four right here are all prime numbers. Now, to find the greatest common factor of these two numbers, we just figure out what prime numbers they have in common. So this one had a 3, and a 2. This one had 3, 2, 2, 2. They both have 1, 3 at least, and they both have at least 1, 2. So we're going to take that 3 times 2, and that equals 6, and we know that 6 is the greatest common factor of 18 and 24. Basically what that means is that 6 is the biggest number that will multiply evenly or nicely into 18 and 24. In order to simplify fractions, it's kind of the same idea as breaking down a tree, right? So if we want to break down 12 and 16, 12 breaks down into 2 times 2 times 3, and 16 breaks down into 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. If it helps, you can actually make a factor tree like one of these before you simplify the fraction. And then we're just going to cross out what they have in common. So both the top and the bottom have a 2 times 2. So we're going to cross those out, and we have left over 3 over 2 times 2, which is 3/4. Adding and subtracting fractions. In order to add or subtract a fraction, we need to have the same number on the bottom. So if we were to add these together, there's a 6 on the bottom here and a 4 on the bottom here. So we would have to multiply on the left side 4 onto the top and bottom. So let's see if we can write that for you. Yep, so we would have 4 divided by 4, and we would multiply it because 4 times 6 is 24. And then over here, we are going to, let's see if we can do 6 divided by 6. Oh, that's not what we wanted. You're just going to multiply, just like we did 4 over 4, you're going to multiply by 6 over 6 right here. And then multiply across for both of them, and then you can add them together. Here we go. Here's the example down here. I apologize. Yep, so we have 5 over 6. We're going to multiply by 2 because then we can, 6 times 2 is 12 on the bottom. Let's add some space in here. So we want 12 on the bottom, and we want a 12 on the bottom over here for the 3 over 4. Well, 4 times 3 is 12. So now we have 10 over 12 plus 9 over 12, and that is 19 over 12. And then we don't like having the number on top bigger than the number on the bottom, so we want to make a mixed fraction. Well, a mixed fraction is starting with this fraction with the bigger number on top and figuring out how many times does the bottom number go into the top number. So how many times does 12 go into 19? Just one time. And then what's 19 minus 12? 7. So there's 7 left over. So we would call this a mixed fraction with 1 and 7/12. Now, to go from a mixed fraction to a normal fraction, we take the bottom times the outside plus the top. So 3 times 4 plus 2. 3 times 4 plus 2, that's 14. And then we still leave it over the denominator over the number on the bottom. So 14 over 3. It's kind of going the other direction. When we multiply fractions, we have a fraction times a whole number. We want to multiply two fractions. So let's turn this -4 into a fraction. We just put it over 1. So we have 3/5 times -4 is actually 3/5 times -4 over 1. And when we multiply fractions, we just go straight across. So a positive divided or times a negative is a negative. 3 times 4 is 12. 5 times 1 is 5. And we have our answer right here, and then we can turn it into that mixed fraction. Division with fractions is the same thing as multiplication. You just flip the second fraction upside down. So if we have 7 over 4 divided by 6 over 11, we actually have 7 over 4 times. The division turns into a times, and we flip this fraction upside down and then multiply straight across. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to re-explain.